Hello guys, today we're going to make a video about WPF for beginners using Blend for Visual Studio. In this video you will learn how to make a graphical user interface, how to make storyboards, how to add data context to your project, and how to use the invoke command action and control storyboard action. For completing this project, you will need to download a zip file, Sawing Machine. I put the link in the description below. So if you copy this link and you open a browser and you just paste it, you can download this file. Download. Then if you go to your downloads, if you go to your download folder, you will find this file, the zip file, and for this video I will extract it here. So we have our folder Sawing Machine. It contains two subfolders, one with an example program. So this is the program we want to make. So you see that we have created a sawing machine. Sometimes we will saw 1/3 of our block and sometimes we won't. So that's also the project as well. So that's what we want. So I will just use the sniping tool so we have that in our background, or so we have a picture of what we want to realize. So we have also a start project, and now we are going to open Blend for Visual Studio, and we are going to navigate to that folder. So go to our downloads folder, download, then we go to Sawing Machine and we open we open a project. That was the reason I didn't find anything. So we go to our download folder, Sawing Machine, and we open it. The first thing we do is making our data context. So just wait a second. Solution Explorer. If you click on the main window .xaml, then your designer window will load. And here you have your objects and timeline column. So you select the grid and then you go to data context. You click the new button and we want the CLS zaagmachine VM linken. So now we have created a link, a bonding with that class. Okay, so we have a grid, but let me split the screen a bit. So roughly you can determine 3 rows here, 3 columns I mean, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So we have 5 rows and 3 columns. So we are going to divide our grid into, so we select our grid and we go to column and we add 3 columns, okay, and then we go to our grid. I'm just going to expand this for easier handling, and then we will go to our rows. We click the 3 dots and we click 5 times add. Okay, so just for our we'll need to use translate sometimes. Translate. So for our ratios, we see that I just need to split screen again. So roughly this column has 6 times the width. No, it's a bit less. 5 times. Well, 4 times maybe. 4 times the width. 4 times the width of the other columns. So that's a way you can divide, or you can give a ratio. You can use ratios for the different columns and rows. Then we have like one, and we have, let me expand this a bit. Or if you can go to pixels, nah, I'm going to use the auto bit. So this I want 6, maybe a bit less, maybe still a bit less, 4, that seems like reasonable. So first we need to insert a rectangle, so we go to our top assets and we type rectangle, and then you can select it and you can place it on the grid. Then we want our rectangle in the second column and the first row, and the row span is 1 and the column span is 1, and it's auto and auto, and the row span is 1, and then we just need to have a color. So here we have defined our first element. Then we want to insert a stack panel. We are going to, it's already inserted, so Control Z. In that stack panel, first we are going to place that stack panel. We want that stack panel here. So we want it in the second row, row span of 1, column span of 1, and column 2. And we want it in the middle and above. Okay. And then in our stack panel, we are going to expand our stack panel a little bit. In our stack panel, we want to have a rectangle, and we are going to drag it into the stack panel, and the width of our rectangle is 10, maybe 12. The height will be 25 to begin with. And then we need a sawing blade. So we are making this part here. So let me use another color for it. Now we want to draw the sawing blade. So we will need an ellipse. So we go to assets and we type ellipse, and we drag it into the stack panel. Then the width will be 50 to start with, and the height 10 to start. It's a small blade, so 60, maybe 70. Yes, and just the color. Yes, okay. Now we also need a control button, so another ellipse, but that's just one for the grid. So create ellipse in grid. Yes. Where do we want to place it? First of all, I want it a bit smaller, so 20, yes. And then we are going to place it on row 1, column 3, and in the middle, I want it in the middle. Oh, the row span was not good. And the color may be the same as everything else. So gray. In a while we are going to link it with data, with the data context, but for now we just create the button. So we know that if in the beginning of the video I had run the an exe of what we want as result. So a block will move from the left to the right in this area. A moving object needs a canvas. So we need to insert a canvas, and we will need to drag it on the grid, and just like everything else, we need to place it. So we need to place it on row 3 with a row span of 1 and a column span of 3. And then we set it up auto width, and then stretch in horizontal alignment and stretch in vertical alignment. And then we just click the auto boundaries button. So now we have a canvas that covers this area. Okay. Now we need our conveyor belt here, and we use a rectangle for that. Rectangle, we place it on the grid. That's one too many. We place it on the grid and we just move it where we want it. Row span of 3 is not desired, it's 1, and a column span of 3 is desired. Then we just center it. Or yeah, it's yes, centered. Oh, here did go something wrong. You need to stretch the horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment, and then you can just use auto width. We see in our example that we want a thick black border, so that's you create with stroke. It's already black, and then we need stroke thickness. Then you just scroll it up a bit. Okay, and then we want to visualize. We want to create a moving conveyor. So we want those star elements. So we need to insert a star element, so we can just drag it and place it. And just in my star, I don't want a stroke, so you can always click this white square and then reset, and then the default settings are met. First of all, I want 15. So if you select this regular polygon and you go to the XAML code, then you can go to point count, and that I want on 15. So that's already, it's just easier sometimes to change some values into the XAML code than searching for the parameter into this properties window. I also want it a lot smaller, so, and I also want the color to be black, and now I just need to move it. Row span of 1, and it's maybe a bit bigger. 25. How is it looking? That seems just fine. Now you can just Control plus C, Control plus V, and then the only thing you need to change is the start position. So it's still row 3, but it's column 1 for now. So Control C, Control V, and also this position needs to be column 3. Okay, so this worked fine. Now we just need to create our block. So we will need another stack panel. So we go to assets, we type stack panel, and we drag it into the grid. Then we will need a rectangle, and we drag it into, we drag this rectangle into the stack panel. And of course it's a wooden block, so we want the color to be brown, a bit more brownish, if that's possible. That seems beautiful. And then just first we need to move the stack panel to the correct no, this stack panel, oh, I did make an error here. This stack panel needs to be moved into the canvas, because we are going to position it in relationship to our canvas, because in our canvas we have a moving object, and that moving object is that the position of that moving object is determined with top and left values. And here we have an actual system with the origin here at 0.0. But first let me finish this wooden block example. So rectangle with a height of width is 500. Oh, I did something wrong here. It's not, it's this rectangle. So a width of 100 is good, a height of 25 is better, and a border, a stroke. So a stroke. Yes. stroke thickness of 2 will be enough, and then just you can Control copy, Control V, and then the second rectangle I gave with a height of 75. Now I just need to give the stack panel a starting place. So we position our block into our canvas using the left and top commands. So you see if I play with this value, you see my block going from left to right, and the top value will do the same. So this is what I do, and just I want it out of my screen first. And now we have this. So if you play, you click the play button, your GUI or your graphical user interface will pop up. But now nothing will happen. Of course, we have just made the graphical representation. Now we need to do our second step, that's creating storyboards. And the third step is linking those storyboards on certain actions. So, storyboards. We will need a storyboard that represents the transport of our block from left to right, and we will need a storyboard that will move our sawing blade down and will give a representation of removing this height or this block from our wooden block. Okay, so how do you do this? You click this plus button here, and then you give it a name like transport. Okay, and then a timeline will pop up. So my starting values for this stack panel are this value, and after 4 seconds I want my wooden block here. So my left value will need to be somewhere 500, a bit more. So that's it. Okay, that's it. So if you want to play your storyboard, you just click play and you see your wooden block moving from left to right. I also want a visual representation of our conveyor belt that is moving. So those star elements, it would be nice if they would turn, if they would rotate, I mean. So we select our first star model, and we go to transform, and we go to rotate angle, give it a start angle. I will do this for my 3, so start angle of 1, and after 4 seconds I want an angle of 360, and 360. Okay, so if you now play the storyboard, you will see the rotating star elements, and you will see your block going from left to right. Now we just need another storyboard, the sawing storyboard. So in the sawing storyboard, the only thing that happens is that we move this sawing blade to down. So we move this this sawing blade down. So our that's this stack panel, and it's just the height of the rectangle that we want to change. So yeah, we just, for sake of a beautiful representation, we need to know on which point on which point our sawing blade touches the wooden block. So an approximation is 1.4 seconds. So that's the point where our sawing blade needs to be down, so it can begin sawing. And the point, so 1.4, and the point where it may go up is 2.6. No, that's not correct what I'm saying. 1.4 and 2.1, it may go up. So you can switch between storyboards with those down arrows. You can click on those down arrows and you can go to sawing. So 1.4, 2.1 seconds, that's our sawing time frame. So we go to the 1.4 and we give our rectangle needs there to be here. So we give it the height. It's approximately here, I think. Right, I have an idea. Can maybe a bit lower. That's fair enough. So 380, and we start on 25.1. So we have our yes, and then 2.1 is 83.1. And then we go to 25 again. 25. So we have our sawing blade that will move up and down depending on the wooden block passing by. So we will also need this particular block to be vanish, to disappear, and we are going to do that. But first I need to go out of the storyboard. So close storyboard. I need to select this, and I need not stretch but left, and then I need a width of 100. This is needed because otherwise our storyboard will not function properly. So you go back to storyboard, sawing. Then you go to the correct rectangle. No, it's this one. And then you see that here we have a width of 999, and a few milliseconds later we have a width of 0, just for our storyboard, it's needed to go to 0, so molded 1. And then we have again 100. Okay, so if I play my storyboard, then I see it's working properly. So I close my storyboards, and now I need to link them with my data context. So how do you do this? First of all, you select your button, you go to fill, then you go to create data binding, data binding I mean. You click knop select brush. Okay, so now this is linked with a value from the PLC. Then we just need a control, invoke command action, and we place it on the window. We give it a name, start, stop, sewing machine. And you can go to, don't forget, triggers window loaded needs to be deleted. And then you can go to a command. Oh, no. So invoke command action, command, it's not this one, trigger type event type, no. So we have start stop sewing machine, and then we have we just need to just check if your window, if you still have your data context. Now it's finished. Okay, there you go to start stop, trigger type new event trigger, but it's an event trigger, yes. Condition, mouse left button down. So if my mouse left button is 1, then where is my play? So first of all, control storyboard action, control storyboard action. Oh, no. Placed on the grid. Control storyboard action, solving, no, transport. So play my storyboard. Solving. No, transport. And here is a data trigger, and I'm binding with cyclus equals true. And we have another control storyboard action, solving. We go to play and storyboard solving. It's data trigger binding with value true. No, just my control. True. No. This is not right. So I need to check that again. There I'm doing something not right. So the thing I did wrong was, okay, now I see it. So it's adjusted trigger type. It's an event trigger, okay. But the command here is start cyclus, okay. And it will command action, and the event name is if my mouse left button down. So you use the invoke command action for sending a value from your GUI to your PLC, and the control storyboard action is the reply of your PLC or the data from your PLC. You use those data to play or to start or to stop your storyboards. So normally everything should work just fine if I click the play button. So then your application will pop up. If I click the start button, you see sometimes your wooden block will just go from left to right without your sawing blade going down, and sometimes you see that the animation is not that beautiful because the wood is like on yeah. But it's not a problem. It's not a problem. So just that works like it needs to work. Here you see it's not optimal, but that's like really fine tuning. Just the overall performance of this application is good. You control it with the button. And the storyboards are started or stopped with data binding or with the data from the PLC. Okay. So what have we done? We have made a GUI, a graphical user interface. we have made two storyboards, a sawing one and a transport one. We have added data context to our project, and we have used invoke command action. That's sending a value to your PLC, and we have used control storyboard action, this using our data from our PLC to start or stop our storyboards. So hope you were able to finish this application. For questions, you can always post a comment, and feel free to subscribe, and good evening.